एतां दृष्टिम् अवस्तभ्य नष्टामानो अल्पबुद्धया प्रभवन्ति उग्रकर्माणा क्षयाय जगतो अहिता.
Following such conclusion, the demonic who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible work meant to destroy the world.
कामम् आश्रित्य दुष्पूरं दम्भमानं मदान्विता मोहाद् गृहत्वा सद्ग्रहान् प्रवर्तन्ते शुचिव्रता.
Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige, the demonic, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent.
चिन्ताम् अपरिमेयां च प्रलयान्ताम् उपाश्रिता कामोपभोगपरमा एतावद् इति निश्चिता आशापाशाशतैर्बद्धा कामक्रोधपरायणा इहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसाञ्चयान्.
They believe that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. Bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires and absorbed in lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification.
Idam adya maya labdham imam prakshe manorathan idam ashtidam api me bhavishyati punardhanam asau maya hatas shatrur hannishe chaparan api ishvaro aham bhogi siddho aham balavan sukhi adyo abhijanavan asmi ko anyo asti sadrisho maya yakshe dashyami modishya iti ajnana vimohita.
The demonic person thinks, so much do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
Aneka chitta vibranta moha chala samavrita prasakta kama bhogeshu patanti narake ashuchau.
Thus, perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, they become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell.
Atma sambhavita stabdha dhanamana madanvita yajante nama yajnaiste dambhena vidhi purvakam.
Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations.
Mataji, you want to take a glass of water? We can,
Yeah.
Someone can take over, if you don't mind.
Yes. Yes.
I can read, Mataji, if you want me to.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Please.
Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham cha samshrita mam atma paradeheshu pradvishanto abhyasuyaka.
I will have to share screen, Mataji. Mataji, you think you can move the screen? Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion.
तान् अहं दिष्टता क्रूरान् संसारेषु नराधमान् क्षिपामि अजस्रम् अशुभान् आसुरीष्व एव योनिषु.
Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life.
आसुरीं योनिम् आपन्ना मूढा जन्मनि जन्मनि माम् अप्राप्यैव कौन्तेय ततो यान्ति अधमां गतिम्.
Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence.
त्रिविधं नरकस्येदं द्वारं नाशनम् आत्मना कामक्रोधस्तथा लोभस्तस्मादेतत्त्रयं त्यजेत्.
There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul.
एतैर्विमुक्त कौन्तेय तमोद्वारैस्त्रिभिर्नर आचरति आत्मनः श्रेयस्ततो याति परां गतिम्.
The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination.
यः शास्त्रविधिम् उत्सृज्य वर्तते कामकारता न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति न सुखं न परां गतिम्.
He who discards the spiritual injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination.
तस्मात् शास्त्रं प्रमाणं ते कार्याकार्य व्यवस्थितौ ज्ञात्वा शास्त्रविधानोक्तं कर्म कर्तुम् इहार्हसि.
One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated.
Thank you, Mataji. Vijayeshwari Pran Mataji, you can start the purport. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Just a small prayer and then we'll begin. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Sakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachata Desadharine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. So we are going to do the summary of chapter 16 today. I'll share my screen now. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Oh, yesterday, Ravi Prabhu gave nice summary of the first 6 chapters and the second 6 chapters. So we are not going to go in that. So we are in the section of the 3rd section, chapter 13 to 18. Today is the 16th verse, which is Jnana Yoga. So basically, the first 6 chapters, Krishna described the characteristics of the Jiva, the Prakriti, and the Iswara in a brief manner. But then in this section, he elaborates on those things. Why this knowledge is needed? when we have this knowledge, we can detach, we can develop detachment to the matter, which is the material world, and we can we can develop our attachment to Krishna. So this knowledge also serves as a door to the bhakti. So that's just a basically introduction about Jnana Yoga. And then in the chapter 13, which is the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness, Arjuna asks 6 questions. What is Kshetra, Kshetratnya, Jnanam, Neyam, what is Purusha and Prakriti? So Krishna explains that. And he also explains the 20 elements of knowledge, starting from humility. And then he says the real Purusha or enjoyer is the Supreme Lord. And the Jiva is one of the doer, not the only doer, one of the doer. And then he also says one who has this knowledge of Jiva, material nature, and the Lord properly actually sees. They have that Jnana Chakshu. So that's about chapter 13. And then the 14, Krishna explained the 3 modes of material nature. The material nature is made up of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And he says that Supreme Lord impregnate the material nature with the Jiva. So Krishna is the father, the Prakriti is the mother. It's a secondary cause. And then Jiva get conditioned because of the material modes, the goodness, passion, and ignorance. And then each modes also compete with each other for prominence. Sometimes the passion is more, or goodness is more, or ignorance is more. And because of that, Jiva get influenced, and then the destination is because of that. But at the end of that chapter, Krishna says, pure bhakti, when we perform bhakti, we can transcend the modes and become gunanita. So that's 14 modes of material nature. And yesterday we saw the 15th chapter, which is the yoga of Supreme Person. In this one, Krishna gives the analogy, the metaphor of the upside down banyan tree. Upside down banyan tree is nothing but he compares that to the material world. And then he gives, like the branches are compared to this, the twigs are compared to this, the leaves and everything. And we should not get entangled in that material world, like in the banyan tree. We should cut that tree and free ourselves. What does that basically mean? It's liberation. And how can we cut that tree? Is with the detachment and determination, and surrender to Krishna and cut that tree. And then the rest of the chapter, that was the beginning of the chapter. And then the rest of the chapter, Krishna says that even though the jiva, the soul, is a fragmental part of me, because they have the material mind and senses, they transmigrate from one body to another body. And then Krishna is a maintainer, and the super soul is the initiator for all the activities. And then we also talked about there's 2 types of living beings, Shara and Akshara, but the super soul is above those 2, Shara and Akshara. And if we know Krishna, we know everything. So that was chapter 15. So today is chapter 16, which is the divine and demoniac natures, Devi Asuri Sampada Yoga. So let's start with connection, how this chapter is connected to previous, why Krishna is speaking this now. So in the previous chapter, he was giving the metaphor of the banyan tree, upside down banyan tree. In that, he says that the modes of material nature, a material world is made up of these 3 modes, right? Those modes nourishes the upper and lower part of the tree. And the upper part, when it nourishes that which is mode of goodness, which is auspicious and divine branches of the tree. And the lower part is considered the demoniac branches, where people are in the mode of passion and ignorance. And also, Krishna gives the extra root of the banyan tree was compared to the activities of the living beings. Sometimes they do inauspicious activity, and sometimes they do inauspicious activity. So in this chapter, Krishna says that one who has the divine qualities, the transcendental qualities, they can elevate themselves in the tree, in the branches. And then ultimately, they reach the liberation. But those who are in the lower branches, who have the demoniac qualities and mentality, they go down and ultimately they reach the lower planets, the demoniac or the hellish planets. So that's what Krishna talks about in this chapter. He's just a continuation of the previous chapter. He's just elaborating on that more, the metaphor. And then he talks about divine and demoniac qualities of living beings in the material world. So how this chapter begins? Actually, this is the one section that Krishna was speaking on his own. Arjuna did not ask like a prompting question. Every chapter, Arjuna will put forth some question and Krishna will start answering, right? But chapter 14, 15, and 16, these 3 chapters, Arjuna did not ask question. Krishna is just start giving that jnana, knowledge. In 14 is the chapter of the modes of material nature, right? So in that, he starts speaking he starts speaking about the modes of material nature, but Arjuna does ask the question in between. After he explained all the, 3 modes, Arjuna asks, okay, what is the symptom and behavior of a person who transcended the, modes? How do they transcend the modes? He does ask that in the middle of the chapter, and then Krishna explains that and completes that. But the chapter doesn't begin with Arjuna asking questions. He says that I'm going to give you the knowledge which is the best among all the knowledge I have given you. And then he starts speaking about the modes of material nature. And then again, the same thing with the yoga of a supreme person, the banyan tree analogy. He also, Arjuna didn't ask that question, just Krishna starts speaking. In this also, Krishna starts speaking about the divine and demoniac qualities of the living, beings. The conditioned souls in the material world, he just starts speaking. So there's 2 extremes of the tree, right? So the tree has the who are living in the upper part of the tree, which they are close to the reality, because this is a perverted reflection of what is in the spiritual world, right? So those who are in the upper portion of the tree are, they're close to the reality. They act in such a way until they get the liberation. Those are godly qualities. And then the ungodly qualities are those are in the lower, area of the tree, and they act in a way that they further degrade themselves and then they get entangled again and again, and they go to the hellish planet. So that's the way the chapter begins. So let's see next one. So why Krishna is speaking this now all of a sudden? So after the metaphor of the banyan tree, why he's speaking? Because he's reminding Arjuna that, you are not born of demoniac quality. You are with the divine quality only. But he's reminding himself, you have a Kshatriya duty. And you have to protect the world from demoniac rulers. The world, he does not want the kingdom or the world to go to a demoniac ruler. So he's just kind of reminding him that. Because, when Arjuna might think like, okay, so I'm going to engage in battle, a war, I'm going to kill people. So that means that killing is demoniac. So he may think like that. But he was analyzing the pros and cons, advantage and disadvantage. He was thinking that whether, he shouldn't kill his teachers and relatives. And also he was not going to fight out of angry or harshness or ignorance or anything. It's based on the, religious principle he was going to fight. So Krishna is reminding Arjuna, and then in this one, Krishna talks about the divine qualities only the first 3 verses. But he spent like 18 verses talking about demoniac qualities. Because in the previous chapter, if we recall, in the 12th chapter, which is the last chapter in the Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, Krishna talks about 31 qualities. That if we have that qualities, that will make us dear to Krishna. He talks about 31 qualities. Again, in the 13th chapter, which is the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness, after talking about what is jnanam, he also talks about 20 elements, starting with the humility. So he talked already a lot about these godly qualities or transcendental qualities. So in this chapter, only 3 verses, Krishna talks about the divine qualities, and then he talks about, the horror nature of the demoniac qualities, spending like 18 verses. So this is for I'm sharing my realization. Sometime when we read these divine qualities or the godly qualities Krishna explained in many chapters, sometimes, it's a big list. I just rush through it sometime and then read the purport, I'm done. Let's go, right? And then when it comes to demoniac qualities or ungodly qualities, I don't have to know that, right? So that just kind of like, but just one thing is, we are in this material world. So consciously or unconsciously, knowingly or unknowingly, we do have those demoniac qualities in certain degrees, maybe not like Hiranyakashipu or Kamsa or, Ravana and Duryodhana, those demons, those demoniac qualities, but we may possess some, some degree, some or other, or it comes and goes. So, but, Krishna speaks about, we need to be very careful with those things, because that the ultimate end of having those qualities is very scary. We're going to see in this chapter. So, so let's begin the chapter. So the chapter breakdown here is only four. It's a small chapter. So first, as I said, he talks about the divine qualities, which is Devi Sampada, only 3 verses, but he talks about 26 qualities in 1 verse. And then demoniac qualities, which is Asura Sampada. He talks about only 6 bad qualities, but he elaborates. And the third section is activities of demoniac people and what is the consequences of that. And then finally, a couple of verses, how to give up those demoniac tendency following the scriptures, Shastravidi. So that's a chapter breakdown. So we'll get into, a discussion on each section. So first one is Devi Sampada, which is the divine qualities or godly qualities. Krishna explained 26. They are in mode of goodness. So I'm not going to read this, but I do want to explain this in Prabhupada's purport. Prabhupada categorized them like, some based on the Varna and Ashrama. So some are sannyasi ashram, some are grahastha, some are brahmachari, some are vanaprastha. So Prabhupada, categorized them. Okay, this quality the sannyasi should have, the vanaprastha should have, the grahastha should have. Some qualities all of us should have, like that. So it's very nice purport to go and read and meditate, and it's very nice. So we all should read it and maybe meditate on each quality sometime and just try to cultivate. So, like for example, there's 3 things is must for grahastha. Charity is must, because the hard-earned money, we don't want to have that attachment. So we need to, give that in charity. To the brahmachari who are propagating the spiritual education and sannyasis. So charity is must. Self-control. I know the grahastha are given some license for sense enjoyment, but they should have some regulated life, self-control. And then performance of sacrifice. That is also grahastha must have. So those are like a must for grahastha. And then study of Vedas, austerity, those are must for brahmacharis. Freedom from anger for everybody, right? So those are and then cleanliness, everybody. So those are the qualities. It's 26 qualities Krishna says that belongs to divine or godly people, or those who are in mode of goodness, those who are in the upper part of the tree of the material world, the banyan tree. So why we have to have this? Prabhupada write in the purport, they are meant for making progress in spiritual understanding. Because one cannot do all the Prabhupada, sometimes say nonsense things or rascaldom, like, they engage in illicit sex, gambling, everything, but then try to understand God. No, it won't happen. So these qualities are meant for making progress in spiritual understanding, so that one can get liberation from the material world. So that's the purpose of that. So let's see. So then the question may come, how and why to cultivate these qualities? So this is from Prabhupada's purport. So one can develop these qualities by practice, right? So even though the material life is miserable, these qualities can be developed by practice by all classes of men. Doesn't matter sannyasi, grahastha, any classes of men, gradually, and it is possible. So we can reach the highest level of transcendental realization. And then the symptoms, so the person who cultivated all these qualities, or some or more qualities, what is a symptom of that kind of person, the divine personality? They will lead a regulated life, not like animalistic life, unregulated, do whatever you want, whenever you want, like that. But the people with these kind of qualities, they will have a very regulated life. That is the symptom of them. And what the life will be based on the injunction of scriptures. They won't whimsically do what they want to do. They'll have a regulated life and they follow the scriptures. And then these qualities are developed from the mode of goodness. One in mode of ignorance and passion, it's hard to develop these qualities. And then these are very auspicious for progress for the path of liberation. So same thing. So let's go into, so those are the only 3 verses. Krishna talks about the Devi Sampada, or the divine qualities. just very in a nutshell, what are they and why to cultivate and how it helps, because we can promote ourselves to an understanding, the spiritual understanding will come when we have these qualities and we can liberate ourselves. And then he talks about Asura Sampada, six demoniac qualities, which are in mode of passion and ignorance. So those qualities are Damba, pride, Dharpa, arrogance, Abhimana, conceit, Krodha, anger, Parushya, harshness, Ajnanam is ignorance. I have Duryodhana's picture here insulting Vidura, because he resembles all these qualities. But as you know, we all, you know, I'm going to say it for myself, in some degree, we have all that, consciously, unconsciously, whether we want it or not, we have it. So we need to find out what we have, and then we have to work on it. But you know, Duryodhana is a prime example of all these qualities that he had. So next thing is, so this slide I already explained why he's explaining the demoniac qualities to Arjuna. Now is Arjuna might think, I'm participating in the battle as a warrior, therefore I'm a killer, so I may have a demoniac temperament. So that's what I am, that's what Krishna, Arjuna might think. So Krishna is clarifying that. So no, it's not that you are in a divine quality. I'm just explaining what will happen to the people who have demoniac qualities. So let's get into this one. So as soon as he says that the number of 6 qualities, the anger, the pride, the conceit, the arrogance, everything, Krishna says, what is the destiny? People who have divine qualities, they will get liberation. Devi Sampat Vimokshaya. And then who are with the demoniac qualities, they'll get bondage in the material existence. And they will take birth again and again, and they will finally sink down to the hellish planets. So that's a destination of divine and demoniac people. So this analogy, most of us may know this, feed the good dog and starve the bad dog. So we all have, 2 dogs dwelling in our heart. But we can, feed the good dog. So which is, forgiveness, compassion, self-control, humility, and wisdom. What is basically that means is, those qualities we have to cultivate. And then starve the bad dog. So they, so they won't, grow very healthy, and that will kind of manifest. So basically, whenever there is situations, circumstances that, we are angry or lust or greed, arrogance, all those things, we shouldn't act on the lower modes. We should elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness and act on the mode of goodness platform. So it's basically, we should not act on the impulse. So that's what the feed the good dog and starve the bad dog. Just one analogy here. So, and Krishna explains how the demoniac people will look at this world. They'll say this world is unreal or false. And they'll say this world does not have any foundation, and there is no God in control, and there is no cause. And then they'll say this is produced of, the whole world is produced of sex, desire, or lust. That is their conclusion about this world. They speak philosophy. So I have, this is from Bhurijana Prabhu's Surrender Unto Me, the Bhagavad Gita's like a summary format here. There is a book by Bhurijana Prabhu. So he talks about how the demoniac philosophy, they talk philosophy, but ultimately the philosophy is for their selfish motive. So the example is preaching of a vulture and a jackal. So once there was a boy, he died. So all the relatives were sitting around and lamenting, crying. And there's a jackal came, and said, the jackal started glorifying the affection of the family and the relatives for that boy. And then the jackal glorified the boy's wonderful qualities. And then the jackal said to the family, during the auspicious time, during the daytime, you should all, sit and in the remembrance of him, you should all sit and, lament and be with him, be with this body. And then you should all go home. And then tomorrow morning, you should come and do the ceremony, the cremation, And then the vulture heard that. The vulture came down, and the vulture started defeating the jackal. The vulture said, what are you talking? The soul is already gone from the body. This is a dead body. You don't know the difference between the soul and body. Once the soul is gone, it's just the matter is nothing. It's foolishness to just, lament around, sitting around the body. You should all just go home and just not worry about it. Ultimately, the reason for both of them was to eat that body. And then the vulture can eat, and then the jackal is the animal of night. So he wanted the relatives to go without cremating so he can eat. So ultimately, they talk about different philosophy and everything, the demoniac people, but then the end is their selfishness, their selfish motive. So that's the analogy of preaching of a vulture and a jackal. That's a demoniac philosophy. So let's move on. So Krishna talks about the activities of demoniac people and the consequences. He says that their tendency is, they have so much thirst for enjoyment and pride and false prestige. And the conduct is very unclean vows. Attitude is they lost themselves. They're very illusioned. They have no intelligence. And they think the ultimate goal of life is to enjoy, gratifying the senses. And what kind of engagement they do? Unbeneficial, horrible work to destroy the world. And they have thousands of desires, asha pasa. And then they secure money by illegal means. So that's their engagement. And then the thoughts is, even after securing a lot of money, their thought is they want to gain more and more wealth. And the destination is hell. That's the consequences, the activities and consequences of a demoniac person. So I have some picture here. So unclean, they don't know what to do and what not to do. Dharma and adharma, they don't know the knowledge or intelligence. And then they're atheistic, no faith in God. And then they engage in horrible works. 2 examples is given in the purport, which is the animal killing, which also degrade themselves because of the gross sinful activity of killing animals. They degrade themselves in the material world. And then nuclear weapons, because each country is, they're very proud of making all the nuclear weapons, but it's not going to bring about, Prabhupada, right? It's not going to bring about peace or prosperity. It's going to just, destroy the world. So these people who engage in horrible works, they are also categorized as demoniac people. It's called ugra karma. They do a lot of painful, horrible, and destructive acts for others, very cruel to others. They secure money by illegal means. Their thoughts is always gaining more wealth. Hypocritic. So finally, Krishna talks about the destination, not finally, it's a 3rd category, destination of demoniac people. This section is very scary to read. Krishna says that those who are envious and mischievous, who are lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. To hear from Krishna, this kind of thing, it's very scary. So those who possess those kind of ungodly qualities and demoniac people, and those who are envious of Supreme Lord, and they are doing all these mischievous things, Krishna is not just saying that I'll put them in a demoniac wombs next birth, perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence. There's no choice for them. They're going to just struggle in the ocean of material existence. And then Krishna says one more verse, attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. That's even scarier. Okay, so because of their, demoniac nature, they'll take birth again and again in the demoniac species, okay? But they don't even have a chance to approach Krishna again. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. That's the fate of the demoniac people. But one can ask, Krishna is all merciful, right? Why is he doing, he's neutral, or it sounds like he's unfair. He can make them qualified. He can do anything. So he can make them unqualified people to qualify and make them approach him if Krishna wants. But they don't have that desire. The seed is not there in their heart. But Prabhupada, right, in the purport, this is also Krishna's mercy, because when Krishna kills demons, they get liberation. They get rid of their asura body. So, Hiranyakashipu was killed, Vamanadev, Varahadev, and Nrsimhadev, all incarnation come and kill a lot of demons. They all got rid of their Asura's body. And then when Krishna comes, kills so many demons, and then they all got liberation. So that is also mercy. We'll see this one in the next slide, how it's also helpful for them. And then Krishna, in the purport, Prabhupada says that the placing of a particular individual soul in a particular body is a prerogative of superior will. Those who have Asura mentality will not get liberation. So the body that we're going to take next time, it's not our choice or accidental. The next body is not an accidental. This lifetime, the demoniac persons can say, oh, I don't believe in God. I don't accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can be envious. They can do whatever they want to do whimsically. But the next birth will depend on the decision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not on himself. So it's not accidental. So that's Prabhupada's purport, very profound. So I just wanted to share that here. So giving up the demoniac tendency and following the Shastra Vidhi. So that's the last section Krishna talks about. So Krishna here gives there is 3 gates to hell. One is Kama, which is lust, Krodha, anger, and Lobha, greed. So these are 3 things which takes us, if we put our consciousness in this and we engage in this kind of thing, lust, anger, greed, we go to hell. Those are called 3 gates to hell. And Krishna says that, very strong word, every sane man should give them up. Because lust is the root cause. So if we have some lust or desire, if it's not fulfilled, we get angry. Even if the lust is fulfilled, people with the demoniac tendency, they don't be peaceful. They are not satisfied. They become more greedy. And then the other things we all know, moha, they get illusion, mada, they get, mada is, which is what? Not envy.
Intoxication, Mataji.
No.
Madness, Mataji.
Yes, madness. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So yes, and then they get into envy. So lust is the root cause, and every sane man should give them up. So that's the way to give up the demoniac tendencies. Krishna talks about this. Then Krishna says, how to escape. Actually, this is from the purport also. Why we should get rid of those things and how to escape those 3 gates. We have to escape those 3 gates to hell. How we can do that and why we should do that. Why? When we have those tendency, it is not conducive to understand God. We cannot have self-realization when we have those those things, lust, anger and greed. So that's not conducive. So that's the reason we have to escape those 2 gates. And these gates lead to soul's degradation, and it entangles us. And then the human form of life is very rare opportunity, and we should make use of this for purification of our existence. And the purification is getting rid of this, lust, anger, greed. So every, man should give this up for purification. And when we are purified, we can understand, we can have the transcendental realization and eventually supreme destination, which is liberation. And then one can ask how we can do that. By practice of one's own dharma, which is prescribed in scriptures. So all of us, we are all belong to some varna and ashrama, right? Some are grahastha, some are vanaprastha, sannyasi. So based on our varna and ashrama, we have the prescribed duties, the dharma we have, and it's mentioned in scriptures, the Vedas. So we should follow that based on the scripture, whatever our own dharma, we should do that, following the rules and regulations. And that's a goal of life. And that's a way to escape these, the gates to the hell. That's what Krishna says. So in the previous verse, Krishna used the word, if we don't do this, it will cause soul degradation, which is nashanam atmanaha. Basically, it's destroying the soul or soul degradation. But soul cannot be killed, right? Or destroyed. We know that, the characteristics of soul, we cannot destroy the soul with anything, with the weapon or anything. But Krishna is using this word here, Nashanam Atmanaha. So what does it basically means is, he's not using the literal word, literally killing the soul. He's using non-literally. So in Ishopanishad also, Krishna used the word Atmaha. So it's not literally he's using the word, it's non-literally he's using the word. Basically, that means whoever is indulging in the lust, anger, greed, basically kills the soul. That's what it non-literal means. Basically, that means they don't have the awareness of the soul. They don't even have the inclination to understand or to become aware of the soul. So when the demoniac people let their consciousness consumed by lust, anger, greed, they kill their souls. And they will live in that spiritual blindness for many lifetimes. So how Krishna is helping them is, Krishna's mercy is to stop their soul. Krishna's mercy is to stop their soul killing actions by forcefully removing their powerful positions. People in the powerful positions, like, for example, Duryodhana was trying to get the kingdom. What he was trying to do, he was doing all the demoniac activities, he had all the demoniac qualities. But he won on his own. He's not going to give the kingdom. He's not going to give up that, desire for having the whole kingdom for himself. So Krishna has to forcefully remove, because not only him, because if he become a ruler, he's going to lead his citizens like that. And it's going to have everybody will be the soul killers in the kingdom. So he's forcefully removing the position. So I read from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's book about this one. Death may be very painful, but if we have to, so for example, I have done something bad and I have to suffer for that karmic consequences for many, 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 many lifetimes. Death is not bad. Death is better than experiencing the karmic consequences for many, many, many lifetimes. So sometimes killing them is also helpful for them. So I was going to go and check that, but I didn't have time. Rama killing Vali. And when Vali put forth the argument, why did you kill me like this way? And Rama gives 13 reasons. And one of the reasons is, one of the thing is, he don't want him to go through the karmic reactions of the mistakes that he did in this lifetime for many lifetimes. By killing him, it will get rid of those reactions, and by killed by by Rama's sense. So this I just wanted to share that. It was very beautiful. And also in Bhagavatam also, Krishna says in the 11th canto that the killer of the soul, if the human body is a rare opportunity for us, and it's like a boat. And with that boat, we have to cross the ocean of material existence. And if we don't use that, then it is called we are killing our soul. Again, it's a non-literal sense, not really literal sense. We kill the soul, we cannot. So I just wanted to bring that. Last 2 slides. So result of disregarding the scriptures. Krishna says, if we don't follow the rules and regulations mentioned in the Vedas, based on our Varna and Ashrama, we won't get perfection, neither perfection, nor happiness, nor liberation. So this is from Baladev Vidyabhushan commentary on this verse. I really like that, so I just wanted to share that here. He who acts according to his own preferences and does not follow the prescribed actions and actually does what is forbidden by scripture does not attain purification of heart. So it's all start with the purification of heart. We are doing all this for purification of our heart because we have been in this material world, so many material contamination for life after life after life. So purification of the heart does not happen if we don't follow what is in the scripture. And which is necessary. Purification is necessary to attain our goal of life. So then what then to speak of attaining peacefulness and liberation if there is no purification and perfection? So then final verse, Krishna says that, so following the scriptures, we can get rid of the demoniac qualities. He says one should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulation, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So, and then I have a summary of the summary. Prabhupada says this chapter describes how those who follow the scripture attain liberation and those who do not follow the scripture go to hell. And then a practical application. So one may ask, okay, so we learned it from this chapter, divine qualities and demoniac qualities. And we also learn how we can cultivate the divine qualities by practice and following the scriptures and regulations. Prabhupada, this one from again, Burijana Prabhu's book, Surrender Unto Me, it says that we are who we associate with, right? So if we are associating with somebody who has lust, anger, and greed, we also will become lusty, angry, and greedy. Again, we can develop the perfect qualities of associating with the perfect, like Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So this is the conversation, Prabhupada's conversation from 1975. Someone asked Prabhupada, how can I become sincere? And Prabhupada said, how can you become a drunkard? If you want to become a drunkard, you associate with drunkards. If you want to become sincere, associate with these devotees. They are sincere. Very nice, right? So association, good association, we can cultivate these qualities. And it's the end of the summary for the chapter 16, the divine and demoniac qualities.
Wonderful, Mataji. A lot of quotes, a lot of quotes and interesting points, which are very attractive to me. And I'll always appreciate you doing the recitation. I like your recitations and your purport and summaries and things. Thank you very much, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. I just repeat, nothing new, Prabhu. I just repeated the words I read and heard. Nothing new.
And
service is really helping to learn. For me also, I'm learning a lot through this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Vrinda Mataji and Dayasindu Mataji for your recitation and translation and sloka recitation. And Vijeshwari Pran Mataji for the summary. And we open up the forum for questions and answers. So please, everyone pitch in. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful summary. Mataji, I have two questions. One is, in your reading, did you come across any explanation by Prabhupada or Acharyas on why only 3 verses about the divine qualities and why so many more verses about demoniac qualities? Maybe that is more prevalent or something?
Not exactly in the purport I read through, but I don't know. I can't really remember that Krishna already explained the godly qualities in other chapters as well. So that's the reason he was focusing more on the demoniac qualities. That's one of the reasons I think I read.
Okay.
But in the first 2 verses, Prabhupada explains that. I think chapter 7, I believe, he talks about Asura and demigod and godly qualities. And then chapter 12 also, Krishna explains the 31 qualities.
Yeah.
One who is dear to him, one who has that dear to him. And then chapter 13 also, he explained the elements of knowledge. Again, those qualities. So many places Krishna explains that.
But he hasn't spent much time on the demoniac qualities, so you're thinking that's maybe the reason. Okay. Another question, Mataji, is the one you mentioned from the purport. I think text 19. It says that this clearly indicates that the placing of a particular individual soul in a particular body is the prerogative of the supreme will.
Mm.
So we also have understanding that our karma dictates what body we are getting next.
Yeah, the body.
It's always supervised by the Lord, but now we also hear He doesn't interfere with what the karma is going to dictate. Is that correct? I'm just wondering how to understand what Prabhupada says here versus what we have heard in other places.
So I hear you, Prabhu. So what we do in this lifetime, the activities we do this lifetime determine our next body for sure. But then the sanctioning authority is Krishna. Right?
Yeah, definitely sanctioning authority is Him. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I can do
Yeah.
what you're saying.
It is, I mean, if the person is living in a demoniac tendency throughout his life, he's going to get a demoniac birth.
I think in this report, it just says it's not by choice. You're not going to get by your choice. There's no, it's just not going to happen. And, it's Krishna is going to put you where this thing. So Krishna is a sanctioner. So that's what maybe
Okay.
you can ask Lal Prabhu is on the call. So Prabhu can give us some.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you please answer Ven Madhuri Prabhu's question?
Mataji, Hare Krishna, everyone. Mataji, Hare Krishna. I have a real bad internet connection. I did not even hear the conversation. So I don't know what the question was. Is it something to do with birth karma? I heard here and there, but I did not catch the whole question. Internet is not really good where I am right now. But please repeat the question if you can.
Yes.
And if the internet is okay, I'll try to. Otherwise, I'll answer. If I know the answer, I will communicate that later.
Sure, Prabhu. The question is, our next body is not accidental. In one of the purport, I think verse number 19, Prabhupada says that placing one's, it's based on Krishna's prerogative will, his supreme will that we get the next body. It's not just we can have our own choice like that. This lifetime, we may not agree that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, but the next lifetime, whatever we are going to get, it's based on Krishna's supreme will. So the question is, we get next body based on our karma, and Krishna does not interfere with that. But now this one says that it's based on Krishna's supreme will. It's a little...
Okay, so the thing is that I think the way that we should understand this is, as we all know this term, phrase that not a blade of grass moves without the will of Krishna. So even though we have our karma is an non-sentient thing. It doesn't have intelligence. So ultimately, if you go back to the root, it is because of Krishna's will, which is due to his sankalpa. It is because of his sanction, even that karma get executed. Otherwise, karma is going to be a stagnant one. It just doesn't have intelligence to make choices. So therefore, ultimately, it is Krishna's sanction which makes the karma to get executed. Therefore, we can blame Krishna in one sense, that it is Krishna, because of him, I got this body. That's one way of saying it. Another way of saying, if it is Krishna who is cause of my body, then what is my role? Well, it is your karma. Because of your karma, Krishna took action to give you that body. So it's like tied together. Krishna doesn't make his own choice to give body. He doesn't do that, because if he does that one, then it completely becomes a contradictory to say that Krishna is completely merciful. He doesn't see differences. He is equal to everyone. All those questions will come. Therefore, Krishna does things for sure because he is the one who's doing everything. But it depends on Jivatma's step, the step that Jivatma takes, which is nothing but karma. Right? But that doesn't mean that Krishna doesn't have a free will to bypass the karma. He can bypass the karma and say that you don't need to take any more birth. You can simply come to me. He has that free will also to end the karma. Then why is not doing that? If he does that, then the 16th chapter will become of no use because there are people who are not interested and there are people who are interested. And Krishna does not interfere in individual free will. He wants to give them a chance. Therefore, Krishna does not apply that principle of removing everyone's karma because not everyone is interested. So this is how we have to see this one. Yes, what Prabhupada is perfectly correct. It is Krishna who's giving the body, but Krishna is depending on our karma to give that body. Does he have to depend on that? Not necessarily. But he also follows because he set the Vedas, he set the rules. Therefore, he also follows. Can he bypass? Yes, he can bypass. To who? Who's completely surrendered unto him.
Right.
Does it make sense,
Yes.
Prabhu and Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. I just got confused, Prabhu, because it says in the purport, as for the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of demons and they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. It's now the translation and purport kind of says that Krishna forces that perpetual cycle of demoniac births. That's what
this is one of the places where in Bhagavad Gita Krishna has a way of conveying the message. When he's really not happy with certain things, he just puts heavy words there and he says, I don't like this one. I push them into the repeated birth of being more lower in consciousness. So that's how we have to take this. But that does not mean that Krishna let them there forever. Even for such people, Krishna tries his best. Even we may get irritated and stop telling advices to people. But when it comes to Krishna, even for such people, even though he speaks here in Bhagavad Gita, Kshipami, you just push them into the material world. That doesn't mean that he rejects them as his children. He will still try to do his best also to bring those back. That's his compassion. Over here, is just showing is displeased with such act. Therefore, we try to do acts in such a way, following the scriptures and not to displease Krishna. Krishna doesn't like one thing. One thing is that who doesn't follow the scriptures. That is why this whole chapter is focused on your question about why only a couple of verses for people who are in Daiva Guna, divine nature, and the rest of the entire chapter is about demoniac, because the world is populated with such people only. There are only a handful of people who are divine. Therefore, Krishna focused on those people more because you teach, you give advices, you give care, you take care of people who are in need. If you have two children, one is really not doing well, your focus will be on those children more than the one who's already doing good. So this chapter, though it sounds like heavy chapter for those people, like a parent really chastising their children heavily, not that they don't like, but then they're not doing good. They have to step up, give up their mentality of being aham bohi, aham ishvara, and then take I am Ishvara, Krishna's telling. So he gave more instruction for such people.
Thank you, Prabhu. That is very clear now, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Just one point I just want to say. You're all able to clear, right? My voice is clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So, it is really important. Sometimes people as devotees, we are all practicing devotees. Sometimes we have this idea that I am surrendered, I am devotee, I am practicing bhakti yoga. Therefore, you don't need to follow many of rules and regulations, many of those things that is being told. Ours is very simple, just chant, that is enough, which is what Prabhupada, I fully, I wouldn't say support, but yes, that is very true. And that is why it's very easy to chant and practice certain things. But when they say this, they should understand, when we say this, we have to understand that we actually speaking, it is simplified for us. It doesn't mean that we neglect the other aspects of what has been given in the Shastras. When someone's are following, they say that this is fanatism, it's too much fanatic, you shouldn't follow these things. Just chant, that is enough. You don't need to follow Ekadesh. You don't need to be so strict and all those different things. It is not good. That's one thing that I personally feel that we have to mature ourselves when we are following the Vishesha Dharma, which is what we are all following. We should not give the Samanya Dharma away. That is important. So let's be thoughtful about that also, if that makes sense, what I said. Maybe I can give an example. For example, say we are all going to work. We work, get up in the morning, go to office, and then come back and take care of other things at home and so forth. This is on a regular basis that we do. This is called Samanya Dharma. And my child got sick one day, right? When my child got sick, then my regular routine of getting up and going to office at 9 o'clock and returning back by 6 o'clock, that Samanya Dharma get interrupted for some time because I have an appointment with the doctor on a Monday morning at 11 o'clock. So because that becomes a Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma means where it is need special attention, special thing. So I have to take the child to the doctor, and that becomes a Vishesha Dharma. Now I cannot say, I'll stick on to the Vishesha Dharma only, I will not do the Samanya Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is done, and Samanya Dharma must also be followed. Not to give up the Samanya Dharma of our duties. That is said in the scriptures. So many people does not take that and they just stick on to the Vishesha Dharma, and Samanya Dharma is given up. And when it's given up, Krishna says, you are Asurik Bhava. You are not divine. You're not following the scriptures. You're just taking a shortcut route or a loophole to not do your duties and responsibilities as a grahastha, as a brahmachari, as a sannyasi, as a vanaprastha, as a wife, as a husband, as a son, etc. Because I'm chanting Hare Krishna, that is enough. I don't need to follow anything else. That is not a correct understanding. I just thought I'll just add some point to Virajeshwari Mataji, your thing when you said this one. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Gopal Prabhu, okay, can we end now? There is no questions.
Yeah, anybody has any last minute questions or any realizations? It is 7:40. Yeah, we can take one last one if anybody has anything. Yeah, if not, we can end here. Do the Vaishnava pranams. Vancha kalpatarud vista kupa sindhu avevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Assembled Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare